Good morning. I am Vladimir Shirogorov, a Russian scholar in exile. I am historian, and it is my small private channel to spread the knowledge about the military history of Eastern Europe in the early modern time, from around the middle of the 15th to the middle of the 18th century. First, I want to talk a little bit about me and my books, because maybe the knowledge about the beast you meet on the YouTube platform is important to make a choice to watch the channel or to decline it. First of all, about my books. Today, I am the author of only one big book in English and a few chapters in the anthologies. My first book in English is War on the Eve of Nations, Conflicts and Militaries in Eastern Europe, 1450-1500. It's the book about the military origin of the contemporary East European nations, Poland, Russia, Ukraine, and others. It explains how the intensive warfare in the early modern time produced the governmental and administrative structures of the states, produced the national consciousness, and produced the peoples that we know. My next book is the chapter in the volume The Military Revolution and Revolutions and Military Affairs. It is a new book. It was published just recently in Germany. And it is very interesting, fascinating book about the connection of the military reforms in the early modern period to the military changes that are happening today, are unfolding before our eyes. The editor of the book, Professor Mark Charles Fisser, connects the practice of the military reforms of the early modern period and the contemporary time in different fields, including the fortifications, infantry warfare, modern military equipment like drones and high precision weapons, and so on. And my chapter is about the gunpowder mutation of amphibious warfare. And it's named A True Beast of Land and Water, similar to the title of this channel, because the mutation of the amphibious warfare in the early modern period was one of the beasts of history, one of the events, one of the phenomena that changed the way how the mankind waged war. And considering that war is one of the most important activities of the mankind, the changes in the amphibious warfare were a true beast of history. And my third book is the chapter in the another newest volume, Global Military Transformations, Change and Continuity. The volume is edited by maybe the most famous historical writer of our days, Jeremy Black. And it explains how the application of the concept of the military revolution helped to study the military history of different nations around the globe, from East Asia to Europe. And my chapter is about Eastern Europe, about my favorite, my native region of the historical research. And this channel is devoted to spread the knowledge about the military history of Eastern Europe over as much audience as I could achieve. It is very important for me because I believe, and the current events confirm, that the history of Eastern Europe, military history of Eastern Europe, and political history of Eastern Europe are of the key importance to our understanding of the global history and to our understanding of the current events. It happened that during the 20th century, military history of the Ottoman Empire and Western Europe, united or connected by the very productive concept of the military revolution, were developed in much fast pace than military history of Eastern Europe that was given to the national historiographies. And the national historiographies, due to the language differences, due to differences in their concept and their purposes, developed in absolutely different pockets that are unconnectable between each other. Military history of Eastern Europe as a historiographical field, as a historiographical volume, degraded, deteriorated, became made of a smaller, unchained fragments. And Eastern Europe lost, and military history of Eastern Europe lost its prominent importance in our understanding of the global development. And my purpose is to turn the attention of scholars and to turn the attention of public to the military history of Eastern Europe, because military history of Eastern Europe is the chain of events, is the torrent, the stream of events that is determining our nowadays existence. And my first stream on this new channel is about one of the key persons, one of the beasts of history of the early modern period of Russian or Muscovite history, Andrew Shelkalov. Almost nobody knows him besides the scholars submerged to the early modern Muscovite or Russian history. Almost everybody knows Ivan the Terrible, the proverbially bloodthirsty Russian Tsar. Almost, I don't want to reveal some new facts about Ivan the Terrible and try to affirm that he was not so bloodthirsty or so crazy as he is depicted in the popular variations of historiography. I want to discuss the figure of Andrew Shelkalov, his top official of the very poor origin. Andrew Shelkalov was a son of the minor criminal investigator in the Muscovite Criminal Investigation Department. And his grandfather was horseflesh merchant, nothing in the Muscovite hierarchy of ranks. However, due to his personal abilities, Andrew Shelkalov climbed on the ladder of the Muscovite power to the very top. And he became the personal administrator of Ivan the Terrible over the military and foreign affairs. And he was the man who constructed the system of the bureaucratic administration in Muscovy that was used by his successors as the mainstay, as a backbone of the fast-growing Russian Empire. What was the reason of this miracle? What kind of the personal abilities Andrew Shilkalov applied? And what were the fruits of his efforts? What were the fruits of his stunning personal career? Andrew Shilkalov rose to power, was brought up to power in the Muscovite bureaucratic government by another very famous official, Ivan Viskovati. Ivan Viskovati, besides all his personal abilities that are described in Russian, Polish, English historical books, he had one very important point of his personal approach to the events, to his service duties. He was a visionary, and he was one of the first Russian officials who professed the idea that Muscovy needs to enter the ranks of the first-class powers, and the only way for Muscovy to do that was to obtain the free exit to the open sea. Viskovati developed the strategy to catch the key coast of the eastern Baltic Gulf, the Gulf of Finland, and to establish the Muscovite sea power on the Gulf of on the coast of the Finnish Gulf, the deed that was later ascribed to the Russian Emperor Peter the Great, another ruler who is well known. So, the policy that was successfully implemented by the Emperor Peter the Great was ushered by Viskovati. However, during his annexation of the territories of the former crusading Livonian order along the Finnish Gulf's coast, Muscovy confronted the most powerful East European countries of the time. First of all, it is the union of the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Principality of Lithuania, the union that much overpassed Muscovy in population, in military force, and in administrative abilities that were supported by the good connections of the Polish nobility, of the Polish top aristocracy, with the West European development of thinking of the state institutions and propaganda. After some deadlock in the Livonian War, Ivan the Terrible started the terror in Russia, the terror against the top Muscovite aristocrats and the top townsfolk who were connected with them in order to rebuild the Muscovite military and governmental structure to achieve the victory in the Livonian War. However, during the second stage of the Livonian War, another force entered the military situation. It was the Crimean Khanate that overcame its weakness due to some natural disasters in the northern Black Sea steppes and revived as a first-class military power with the assistance of the Ottoman Turkey. In 1571, the mighty Crimean army destroyed the Muscovite army in the battle at the walls of Moscow and annihilated the most of the Muscovite horse. Moscow was burned to ash by the conflagration inflicted by the Crimean raid. It was the moment when Muscovy almost lost its army, lost its ability to defend itself against as the Crimean army, as the armies of Sweden and Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It was the time when Andrew Shilkalov came on the scene, came to the topmost positions in the Muscovite bureaucratic hierarchy with the task to rebuild Russian army, to prepare it for the next fighting season. Andrew Shilkalov prepared it, changing the structure and the recruitment pool of the Russian army. Instead of the noble cavalry that was disorganized, that was defeated, that was mostly annihilated in the battle at Moscow walls, he reinvigorated the Russian infantry. First of all, Muscovy had the regular, the standing infantry of the Musketeer Corps, Streltsy, and Shilkalov, and the new equipment, the new weaponry, the new organizational efforts to strengthen the Streltsy, the Musketeer Corps. But his most important intention, most important for our describing him as a beast of history, is his attention to the pool of new recruits. He found the new recruits for the Muscovite infantry not amongst the townsfolk where the musketeers were recruited, but he called up to the banners of the Muscovite army the free men from the lower peasantry status. First of all, from the migrants, from the peasants who migrated looking for new land on the rich soils of the Russian frontier. They were the service Cossacks, not the Cossacks that are depicted by the Western and Russian filmmakers as the horsemen with big beards and large sabers, but real Cossacks, the military settlers in the frontier who mastered the firearms, the strengthened musketeer corps, and the new infantry recruited by Shilkalov among the military settlers, the free Cossacks of the Muscovite frontier, confronted the Crimean army enforced with the Ottoman troops. In the next very important, in the next crucial battle of the Muscovite, of the Russian history, at the location of Molody, near Moscow, in 1572, and the rush of the Crimean and Ottoman horse was checked by the firepower of the new Muscovite infantry. It was the crucial point of the Muscovite history, maybe the point when in fact Muscovy, as relatively small country in the spare populated territories of Eastern Europe, transformed into the Russian Empire, the state that was promoted to the Pacific by the firepower of its Cossack troops. Andrew Shirkalov urged this new Russian infantry. This infantry viewed its victories and its defeats, but between its victories were such important events as the conquest of the Siberian Khanate, where the amphibious expedition of the Cossack mercenaries hired by the friends of Shirkalov, merchants Stroganovs from the eastern Muscovy region of Urals, destroyed the Siberian cavalry and took the Siberian capital of Isker. This victory opened Siberia for the Russian expansion toward the Pacific, one of the most important facts of the rise of Europe over other global civilizations due to the gunpowder revolution, due to the military revolution. And we can say that Andrew Shirkalov was the founder of this Muscovite military power in the same way as he was the founder of the Muscovite bureaucracy that made the inner administration of the fast-growing Russian Empire. Why we name him, why I title him Andrew Shirkalov, a beast of history? It is because besides these visionary, provisional deeds that he accomplished, reconstructing the Muscovite army and the Muscovite administration, Shirkalov had with him his nature of the Renaissance statement. First of all, he liked bribes, and he received from his partners in the business of the reconstruction of Muscovy, from his friends, merchants of the Stroganov clan, from the English and Dutch merchants who rushed to Muscovy, looking for the direct transit road to the eastern markets of Persia, of China, of India, for importing the eastern goods and exporting the western goods, circumventing the alien position of the Ottoman Empire, circumventing the high international competition in the Mediterranean. That was the main platform of the East-West transit exchange before the new road along the Grand Muscovite River Avenue of Volga was opened in the middle of the 16th century. And Andrew Shirkalov was the founder of the most important link of this new international transit avenue, the port of Arkhangelsk in the Russian north. The port of Arkhangelsk, instead of Ivan the Terrible's and Viscovates' dream to establish The Russian connection to the West on the Baltic coast, Arkhangelsk, in the Northern Atlantic, established this link via the Atlantic Ocean, and it was the most open oceanic link to the growing economies, to the growing political powers of Northwestern Europe, which took over the prime importance in the global development from other centers of the humankind civilization from the middle of the 16th century. Andrei Shilkalov, with his passion for money, with his passion for power, with his passion for women, was a beast of history who changed the scene of the Muscovy development on the Muscovite side, together with his counterparts from the Western side. And I continue this channel speaking about this kind of people who are connected with the emergence of the new world in the early modern period. First of all, focusing on lesser known events and people of Eastern Europe. I am Vladimir Shirogorov, a Russian scholar in exile. It is my small private channel on the military history, on the figures and events, extraordinary figures and events in Eastern Europe. I invite you to subscribe to my channel and to read my books.